DNVR Broncos Live, and when you've done this long enough, you know that these shows are inevitable, and yet they never suck any less. So obviously we're jumping right in here as the news just comes down minutes ago that Tim Patrick has officially torn his ACL and is out for the season. Just a brutal blow for the Broncos, and I think, at least for me, more importantly, just a shitty thing to happen to a really, really awesome dude who was primed to have the best season of his career with the first real quarterback he's played with, a guy who just signed his deal, and I'm thankful for that for him. But it was supposed to be Tim Patrick's time to go to the next level and not be like cute undrafted receiver story and go to like legitimate threat in the National Football League. And today he goes up to make a great catch on the sideline, maybe like the best play one of the top receivers has made in camp, which kind of jumps over the back of, I believe, Ronald Darby.
Hussein Bassi.
Okay, Hussein Bassi to make the play. Has the ball in his hands. Got a safety coming down on him. Just goes for a little juke. It's not like they're playing live football. So it's like a very nothing play. Goes for a little juke and goes down. And, I mean, every person there knew exactly what happened, or at least was 90% sure what they just saw.
Yeah, I mean, it was a normal cut. It was not on his way down, like you said, Ryan. He came down and then tried to make a cut. And when a player falls like that, immediately grabs a knee, you know what happened, and his teammates instantly knew what happened. Courtland Sutton was there in a heartbeat. The rest of the receivers joined shortly after, and then really the rest of the team joined right after that. When you have 90 guys surrounding one guy and practice is completely stopped, it's not a surprise what happened. So not surprised at all to see that Tim Patrick did, in fact, tear his ACL. But Kareem Jackson pointed to this being more than just a big loss for the football team and the offense and Russell Wilson and the wide receiving room. He said that was the longest he's ever seen practice stopped for a player getting hurt. Kareem Jackson's been in the NFL for 13 seasons, and that was the longest it's ever been stopped. And it wasn't because of a delay of the cart. No, the cart was there right away. The cart knew what was going on. It was because everyone just wanted to be there for Tim, show them their appreciation for him because of how good of a guy he is. And this is going to hurt the receiver room on the field, and it's going to hurt the team off the field too.
Totally. And I mean, maybe this is a little bit cynical, but one of the first thoughts is, well, thank goodness he got that contract extension. Thank goodness he picked up almost $20 million right there. And it's not all guaranteed, and he should come back just fine, so that part doesn't matter. But just grateful that happened first.
It makes it more like this sucks versus like this is heartbreaking. If it was like a guy who had worked so hard to break through and he was going into his contract year and then this happened, like that would feel so much worse. The fact that like he made it, he accomplishes one of his goals, I'm sure, of many, but of like, getting a legitimate NFL receiver contract. So it doesn't make it suck any less for the person, but it does at least give you like a little bit of, all right, well, he got over that hump.
Well, and he was set to make, if this happened a year ago, he was set to make $2.5 million on an option, on an RFA option last year. So it really does help from the personal standpoint of, okay, at least this isn't life-altering for his life moving forward, for how hard he's worked. Now, it's just brutal news. I feel so bad for Tim. In fact, today, after practice, before practice started, we were supposed to talk with Kareem Jackson and Tim Patrick. Obviously, we did not talk with Tim Patrick, and it's brutal. And I feel so bad for Tim, and this is a big blow for the Broncos.
It is. Real quick on the personal side, I thought it was really cool that KJ Hamler left practice to go see him in the locker room just one day after KJ tells us about the struggles that he went through dealing with his torn ACL. And, obviously he talked about depression and loneliness and those sort of things. And, like, for that to, like, instantly click for him. Yeah. To be like, I'm going to go show him that I'm here for him even, like, before my first opportunity to. Because he's in the middle of a practice. Yeah. Like, it's like if you were to, like, leave work to go, console your friend. Like, that's what he did. He left his job to go console his friend. And I just thought that was really cool of KJ to make sure, like, hey, I'm going to make sure you know right now that, like, I'm here for you. And I'm sure Tim knows that. But I thought that was special. And it made me realize when the Broncos drafted Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler, you had this idea of Cortland, Tim, Jerry, and KJ. And we have almost yet to see all four of them together. It kind of reminds me of the Vaughn and Chubb thing, but even worse because there's more guys to it. It's like, okay, last year it was KJ. The year before it was Cortland. Also last year you had Jerry with his ankle injury. Like, you had this great idea of what that all could look like together, and we're going to go a whole other year without seeing it.
I think it just shows you, especially the Broncos, how you have to treat the wide receiver position. You can really never have enough guys, or you take an approach of let's just go with a bunch of guys instead of getting 3 or 4 superstars, going with a different approach. And the Broncos are going to face that decision coming up soon because, like you said, Ryan, 3 straight years, 3 straight key players from that wide receiving group tear their ACL. So it's really interesting how you look at this position moving forward because just like we didn't count on KJ Hamler but really being a contributor this year, now he's really got to be a contributor this year for this group to live up to the potential and the very high expectations. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I'm at the point of I'm not counting on seeing this receiving group, certainly these 4 of KJ, Tim, Cortland, Jerry, ever playing a full season together because you fool me once, you fool me twice, you fool me 3 times. Okay, I'm not going to get fooled anymore. This is a group where it's just going to be, you're going to have to get the best out of the guys that are available, but you can't count on a full group moving forward at all.
Go ahead, or I'll go. Yeah. The big question for me is, in years past, the Broncos weren't contenders when these things were happening. And so you just say, like, okay, next man up. And just wonder if Russell Wilson is going into George Paton's office today and being like, what's the move? What are we doing? How are we going to fill this role? Because maybe it's the opposite. Maybe he's saying, hey, Kendall Hinton's ready for this. You know, he's going to get more snaps for KJ, and we'll be good. Or maybe he's going up there and saying, like, I needed Tim, so how are we going to replace him? And a trade obviously is always an option, although it doesn't seem like the Broncos, especially George Paton, is going to give away more assets to bring in players. Probably the other way around, if anything. And so you look to the free agent market, and I'll be honest, there's absolutely no size receivers out there. They just aren't there. So you're not going to replace Tim Patrick's size. The good news, I guess, is that Courtland Sutton is your size. You know, it's not normal to line up with a 6'4" and a 6'5" guy like the Broncos do. So you can get by without it. But if you look through, it's still like you would – basically the main options are this. Emmanuel Sanders, who is interesting. He's also 35. T.Y. Hilton, what's his problem? Can't stay healthy. Will Fuller, what's his problem? Can't stay healthy. And there's a reason why these guys are available. That doesn't mean you shouldn't go get them. But those are your 3 main options. And then there's the Odell Beckham thing, which everyone's bringing up. He tore his ACL too only a few months ago. So, you know, I guess less than 6 months ago. So even in the brightest timeline, he's probably 2 to 3 months away. You're not going to sign him now as a reaction to losing Tim Patrick when he can't come in and practice. You know what I mean? So maybe he's an option later in the season if that's a problem. Zach, what do you think? Do they go out and get someone, and who would it be?
Well, super quick, just because there was another torn ACL in Broncos practice today. Demaria Crockett just announced that he also tore his ACL, and we just talked about how brutal it was for Tim, but at least Tim got paid. We can't say that about Demaria. So, and he may have, you know, he was definitely fighting for a roster spot, fighting for practice squad, but so that just is even more gut-wrenching. A guy that's really trying to make his dreams come true faces this 1 week into training camp.
I will say this in terms of silver linings. When you're a bubble guy and you get injured, you're now on the team. Now, not really, but you're collecting paychecks for the rest of this season unless they do an injury settlement, which either way, you know, this is like the ultimate, you know, looking for the silver lining. But a lot of times with guys like this who they like, and they clearly liked him enough to bring him back this year, it's a free pass to next year's training camp, which he should be healthy for.
Probably.
You hope he's healthy for, and you get paid throughout the season. So, not the worst case scenario, but does suck for him a lot.
And I hope that's the case for him. But Ryan, to answer your question about replacing Tim Patrick, Russell Wilson is a borderline elite quarterback. He shouldn't have to need 2 high-paid guys, a first-round guy, a second-round guy. Oh, and then that's enough. You need something more. I guess it wouldn't be 2 high-paid guys with Tim now gone. 1 high-paid guy, a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and some other guys that have done well. Russell Wilson has enough with Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton right there to be a damn good quarterback. Now, if you think that KJ... you're really not counting on him, just like we're not counting on him. If George Paton says deep down, I'm not counting on him. And Kendall Hinton, man, I love the story more than I love the actual player. And Seth Williams, well, he was on the verge of getting cut before this injury, and now he's working with the starters. Okay, then maybe you go get a guy, but I think you're not going out and getting a legit number 2 receiver right now. And I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying
3.
An okay 3. You're not really looking for like a great 3. And so I just want to set expectations of what the Broncos should realistically be looking for because of 1, what's out there, and 2, what the Broncos need. Look, if Courtland Sutton isn't going to live up to a 1 and Jerry Jeudy's not going to live up to a 1, you have way bigger problems than Tim Patrick not being there. Now, Tim would have elevated the room, but you're dealing with bigger issues. So while this is a big loss for the Broncos, to me, it puts a lot more pressure on Courtland Sutton and Tim Patrick instead of
Jeudy.
Yes, and Jerry Jeudy instead of George Paton for going out and getting someone.
I would also look at a Cole Beasley.
So, okay, I'm glad you went there.
Yeah, because he's not a perfect fit probably just because Montrell's been working all over the place, but mostly in the slot. It would mean you're probably playing Jerry on the boundary. I don't mind that.
No,
I don't
when
mind
you drafted
that at
him, you
all.
envisioned that.
And Cole Beasley, 82 catches both of the last couple years. He's an older guy. Again, there's no perfect option. If you want to roll the dice on him or roll the dice on Emmanuel Sanders, whatever.
So here's where I'm at, and I'm glad you brought up Beasley because he was actually the next name I was going to go to. Is you don't have a hole necessarily from a talent perspective. Like you have Jerry and Courtland, that is so much talent. You have KJ Hamler, who is so talented. Obviously, you'd like to have Tim, and that now you have a wealth of it. But you're not looking for like game breaking here. What you're looking for is reliability. I think that's the biggest thing you're losing with Tim Patrick is, look, you throw a slant to him on 3rd and 4, and he's catching it at the sticks. Like you can just count on him to cover that ball and move the chains. And that's why I bring up Emmanuel Sanders. It's something that he's been so good at throughout his career, going back straight up to last year with the Buffalo Bills. And I think he's great at that, and Cole Beasley is the same. Here is the issue with Emmanuel, and I kind of teased this earlier today when I tweeted this out. Emmanuel burned bridges on his way out of Denver. And if you're making the case for bringing him back, you say, well, all the people that he burned bridges with aren't here anymore.
Yep, they're sunk.
It was Vic Fangio and Rich Scangarello and John Elway. And it was ugly, really ugly for Emmanuel on his way out of here. And there are still people in the organization who are around for that who might simply say, you guys don't want that headache. But obviously Emmanuel still has roots here in Denver. He's towards the end of his career. And I can envision a world in which he says, like, he might even call up, George Paton or Russell Wilson or Courtland Sutton and say, like, hey, let them know. I'm ready to come play. This might be my last season. I'd love to do it in Denver. I think that he's probably the best option. That being said, I just don't know if the people who are holdovers from then to now would be happy with that.
Okay, now let's take Emmanuel specifically. Let's say KJ does stay healthy, and he comes out here, and he's your 3rd. Obviously, that's fantastic news for the Broncos. What happens when Emmanuel is now the 4th guy, and he's not seeing the field much, and some of those issues that burned him on the way out, and when he burned bridges on the way out, those rise again?
It brings me to another take, which is that certain guys are made for certain situations. And I mean that in terms of winning and losing. Emmanuel Sanders, when the Broncos were winning, you just never heard this stuff. Now, maybe it was happening behind the scenes. I'll leave that up to you guys. But there are certain guys, when the team is winning, you just don't have to worry about them. And if the team is losing, well, now there's some things flaring up. I think Aqib Talib is another guy where it's just like, everyone talks about how much, they loved him, but you forget, like, there were some locker room issues that happened once they started going downhill. Obviously, there was the huge story about the offense versus defense feud. That story boiled for like 4 years. It started with Aqib Talib. And it's not a shot at Aqib at all. It's just like there are guys who you bring into a great situation, and they're going to be one of everyone's favorites. And then if things go awry, it might not be the same. And that's kind of how I feel about Emmanuel. I think if he comes in and the team is winning, he's 35 years old. I think he's not on a team right now. I think he's somewhat aware of what his role would be on this team. And that is essentially a fourth receiver who plays in certain packages when you want a really reliable guy. Like, he's still running sharp routes. He's still making great catches.
Well, and you would think doing that last year would have helped. Because, I mean, the last, 6 games of the season, it's 2 catches for 27 yards, 3 for 26, 3 for 28, 3 for 22, 1 for 25, 2 for 20. So, I mean, he kind of transitioned into that role last year. So you would think he'd be fine doing it again. Also, maybe he would have been back with the Bills.
I was going to say, why is he not on that team right now? And he also wasn't getting his when he had those issues with the Broncos on his way out. Through half the season, he had 360 receiving yards. So he also wasn't getting his on top of that. And to me, Ryan, you just kind of painted my picture for me of what I'm saying is you're bringing in a fourth wide receiver. So this isn't a big move.
But would you rather your fourth wide receiver be Emmanuel Sanders or Kendall Hinton?
Sure. I'd rather have it be Emmanuel Sanders. But to me, this is small potatoes. The big potatoes are when you had Courtland Sutton, Tim Patrick, and Jerry Jeudy. You needed 2 guys to really emerge. Yep. And then one guy, if Jerry Jeudy was disappointing, well, that would have sucked for Jerry Jeudy's future for the Broncos. But disappointing Jerry Jeudy, probably 800 yards, because we've already seen that from him. And then you have Tim at 1,000, and then you have Courtland Sutton at 1,300. That would have been great production from those 3 guys. Now, you don't have that opportunity to have a disappointment from Jerry or Courtland Sutton. If one of those guys is disappointing, you're in a world of hurt with this passing game, and Russell Wilson's probably not going to be happy with just what he's looking at and what he's dealing with here in Denver. So I think the bigger issue is now there's no leeway. It is Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy have to step up and be big-time players. And one of them, honestly, has got to be close to elite and should be given that opportunity with Russell Wilson here.
The Broncos went from having a really deep receiving core to being incredibly shallow. Incredibly shallow. You need everybody to play well. But we'll touch wood when we say things like this, but, they're one injury away from being really screwed. Really, really screwed. And that's what's most scary to me because, I mentioned it before. Kendall Hinton, fun story. He had that one big game when standards are really low for receivers. So 40 yards, you're like, oh, yeah.
And a touchdown.
And a touchdown. Yeah, but it's that's a...
I'll say this.
If you put somebody on the field that often, they should be giving you that. I mean, Montrell Washington is probably who's next up.
And we'll get to Montrell. I'll just say this about Kendall Hinton. He's in my trust circle. Meaning, if the ball's going his way on 3rd and 7 and he's open, I trust him to catch it. That's about the most I can say about him. He's not dynamic necessarily in any way. I think he's very smart, and he runs solid routes, and he catches the ball. And I think with Russell Wilson, that could result in him becoming, more of a fan favorite, like an actual productive fan favorite, not like a Jordan Taylor, we like his hair fan favorite. That being said, it's just what Zach said is so spot on. The pressure on these guys is now so great. And it worries me a little bit about Jerry because the last time there was this much pressure on him was his rookie season when it was like, well, this guy's the 15th overall pick. Let's see it. And he didn't produce. He had the drops. And it's never felt like in his NFL career, he has responded well to pressure. Even literal pressure situations. First game of the season, he's wide open over the middle, and in a big drive, he drops the ball for Drew Lock. Later that season, he's wide open, not wide open. He's open down, up the middle. A huge drive against the Chargers in the fourth quarter, hits him in his hands. He drops it. So like from the start of his Broncos career until now, Jerry Jeudy has not responded well to pressure. I kind of felt like the pressure was coming off of him a little bit when it was like, you've got Cortland, you've got Tim, you've got Russ, and now it's just right back where it was. Yeah. If not higher than ever, probably higher than ever.
Yep.
And so you just need him to grow up, and you need him to respond really well. And I wasn't part of it, but I also heard that like even today after practice, he was like a little weird with media. Said like, I got 2 questions or something like that. Were you there, Henry?
No.
Okay. I just heard that through the grapevine, and it's like this was like kind of the first. You'd love for him to just go up there and say some great things about Tim and how but I'm worried about Jerry.
He has flaws. He has flaws. I mean, we saw again today. He had that. I think it was an over route where he's like a step behind Ronald Darby. The safety is just like a couple steps away, and you're like, okay, small window, but there is a window, and it's a nice high throw. And it's like it's not an easy catch, but he puts one hand up and it just kind of bounces off. It's like he's not a great catcher of the football. Like the drop issue is kind of separate of that, in my opinion, but that's a whole nother thing.
Can I defend him a little there?
Sure.
This was after the Tim injury. Mm-hmm. I think in a game he dives for that ball, and I just think in that moment, especially, they don't want these guys diving for passes. No. They literally is a guy whose job is just to run around the whole practice saying, stay up, stay up, stay up. Yep. Love that job, by the way, if it's open ever. Yep. I'm sure he does a lot more. I'm not trying to discredit him.
You're talking about like the 40, 35-yard pass down the field.
It was a little long. Yep. I think he could have laid out for it. I don't think he should in that situation.
I think there is the saying, if you touch it, you should catch it. That was more on Russ, in my opinion, than on Jerry personally. It like grazed off his fingertips, in my opinion, and maybe he does dive. We don't know, but now all the pressure's on him. I mean, and you're right, Ryan, when pressure situations have arose, he has not lived up to that. Now he also has a quarterback that he has never had in his career, and I think this is going to be one of the most important parts of Russ's job now, is making sure that he grooms along and makes sure that Jerry is following the right track, because I don't think Russ has to worry about Courtland Sutton, but this is something where the Broncos have to have a good Jerry Jeudy this year.
And I would love for Tim Patrick to hang around. This is a weird thing that happens with injuries. We've been in the locker room long enough, Zach, to know that some guys go down for a season-ending injury, and then you forget they were even ever on the team because they're never around. And once in a while, you're like, oh yeah, Billy Wynn. I forgot about him. He's here today for some reason, like halfway through the season.
Billy Wynn's a great example of that. Yeah. Who are you? Oh,
I
Billy?
Remember him. Yeah. So like certain guys are there every day. And obviously they have to go in for their rehab, but some guys come in at 7 a.m. for their rehab and they go home and you never see them again. Yeah. I would really love Tim, and everyone deals with their injuries differently, but to be one of those guys who sticks around and is there to help Jerry. Like everyone talks about, Cortland said it today, he is the guy that you want the young receivers to mold themselves after. Mm-hmm. Well, Tim, that's how you can help this team.
Yep.
Is stick around, be there for these guys, coach them, and bring that, joyous energy that you bring to the locker room already that everyone loves, why you had 90 guys surround around you. Keep it there. Be there for these guys. I realize that might not be his bag, but I think it probably will be.
I was going to say, the good thing is I do think that's his bag, Ryan, and I think he loves these Broncos teammates, specifically the wide receivers, and I think he's really, truly a team guy. And one of the things that Courtland Sutton said today is one of the great things about Tim, even after getting the second round or the tender last year, even after getting paid last year, he still works like an undrafted guy. And so he still brings that mentality of whatever I can do to help the team. Okay, Tim, it's really unfortunate that this happened, but now you have a new route to help the team, and that's helping Jerry Jeudy.
And we were talking to Melvin today, and that's one of the things he brought up. He's saying, he was really excited. He was going to the gym. He was working out 3 times a day, and then something like this happens.
Maybe that's
But
too much.
Maybe.
I'm not even making a joke. Like,
Yeah.
When I heard that quote, I was like, someone should have told him not to do that.
Yeah. If we're trying to answer a question like what do the Broncos do though, I think least likely is a free agent. I think second most likely is a trade. And I don't even know who'd be available. I don't think it's like a trade for a starter. It's a trade for, you have
if
this
Julio
guy.
Jones was still on the market,
Yeah.
do you think that the Broncos would have gone and got him?
I think he would have chosen the Bucks.
I think that is the guy because George Paton was the one. Remember, like Broncos don't necessarily need two big outside guys like you said, Ryan. George Paton was the one that said, I want that. And that's how he wanted the team constructed.
Russell.
And so when the Broncos, right after Tim Patrick got hurt, it was Seth Williams filling in. Seth Williams has not been running with the ones. It's been Kendall Hinton who's been getting those additional reps at times. Because I think, but it hasn't been that big guy. Well, immediately when Tim goes down, they look at a big guy, Julio. I mean, talk about being just a great replacement.
And that was the final piece for me. I think most likely is a roster spot just opened up for Seth Williams or Travis Fulgham or Tyree Cleveland. I think whoever comes out first of that group probably makes the roster.
I don't love it.
I don't either.
I don't even like it.
I want to jump into that, but first got to tell you about our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook, where there's now some updated odds or there will be at least updated odds on Broncos receiving. Does Russell Wilson's stats go down? What does Jerry Jeudy's adjust to? Ryan, have you been looking at that?
I have looked at it, and it has not been adjusted yet. So if you want to get over there, then now would be the time.
Realistically, you should expect bigger numbers for Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton now, right?
Well, they're both set around 900 yards, and like not to take this injury and make it into a betting thing, but I would just say like I thought the main reason that they were both listed at 900 yards was because of Tim Patrick, whose numbers were never up. So they were saying like, okay, we'll subtract a little of each from those guys because of Tim.
Yep. And it's a massive disappointment if one of those guys doesn't give 1,000. If they both do, well, then you're making a decent amount of money. So check out our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook app now, and you can get a free or a risk-free bet up to $1,000 by using the code DNVR when you sign up. So head to the App Store now, download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now, and use promo code DNVR when you sign up to get the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. And also, you can get in our picks of the week, which we gave out yesterday.
Also, sign up for Ivaka TV because right now you'd have two options. One of them is a good option. You could be watching us on the DNVR channel. You could be watching the Rockies, who are actually winning right now against the Padres. You can watch them blow that lead if you had Ivaka TV because that's where you can watch AT&T Sportsnet. That's where you can watch Altitude. So much good stuff there. And you can get in for $15 a month if you use the code DNVR. You get those $10 off. It comes down from $25 for your first 3 months. You still got to pay $5 a month for the receiver. You can just buy it if you want. That's $20 a month, though, for TV. That's a steal. Make sure you're going over to ivaka.tv/DNVR.
Brandon Marshall?
With
the boys.
Oh,
wow.
Man.
With the boys.
Wow.
I love throwing that
Big
out
body.
there. Yeah, and how
he's been retired for like at least 5 years.
He has been. You know why he was with the boys?
Why?
Because he works out with Russell Wilson all the time.
Oh, he's coming in.
He's 38.
He's only 38?
I thought that was old.
I thought he's 40.
Talk about a comeback story. I mean, come on. I think everyone loved Brandon Marshall in Denver. And
That's revisionist history.
No, I think people really liked him.
Well, people liked him because he was electric. He was also a headache.
Yeah, but I still think people wanted him to stay. I think people wanted to see the Brandon Marshall experiment out.
I'll never forget the fact that he would just use a pump fake in the open field. Like, even if he was 20 yards down the field, he'd just go like this.
He had like the bipolar issues or something like that too.
Yep.
So, I mean, when it's something like that where it's like kind of tangible and he says he's like kind of gotten over it, I mean, that makes it easier to...
Totally. I just mean like... I remember like the new specifically remember like a newscast just like blasting him once.
Okay, I guess I should just speak for myself then. Yeah. I really was bummed when they moved on.
Still see 15 Marshall jerseys all over the place.
Yep, exactly.
And people would absolutely get on board. I just have no idea if he has anything.
He looks like it. He looks like he's in shape.
He does. I mean, no one knows better than Russ, Jerry, and Cortland.
Yeah, exactly.
They might go to George and be like, bro, B-Marsh still has it. Let's bring him in. I thought for a second AJ Green was a free agent, but it looks like he went back to Arizona. That would have been a fit.
Yep.
Is Alan Hearns big?
I think he's big.
Get him
I also
confused
think
with the
he's
other
bad.
Alan.
Yeah, the good Allen.
Yeah, he is big.
That Allen's really good.
Yeah,
He's
he
about
is.
to put up numbers.
Allen Robinson.
Yikes.
Where was I going? I had a place to go.
DNVR.com?
Oh, yes, yes. So we just sold out our golf tournament that's happening this Friday. I will be there. Unfortunately, the boys will not. They got you covered on training camp that day. Thanks, boys.
We'll all be out in the sun that
Yes,
day.
it's true. We all will be out in the sun, although you guys might be in your little fancy shade spots.
I hope, but I mean, don't feel too bad for yourself because you'll be drinking some delicious drinks.
Yes, I'll be drinking Breck brews on the golf course. What I wanted to say is we have had so many people, which like such a head scratcher for me, reach out since we closed the event for it being sold out, being like, hey, can I squeeze my foursome in? I'm like, dude, you had over a month to sign up. What's going on here? So don't be that guy next time because we just announced today our final tournament of the year at Raccoon Creek, September 2nd, which is the first day of football, college football season here in Colorado. The Buffs play that night.
Okay.
I think other teams play.
I know why you did this. You did this just to make your perfect day.
Oh, that's
Well,
a Friday.
I did it last year too, and it worked. So I'm doing it again. You tee off in the morning, like 8 o'clock shotgun start.
Yep.
You get off, leave the course, shower real quick, head up to Boulder, enjoy the Buffs playing TCU that night, or whatever your favorite college football team is. Maybe you just go home and watch college football, but it's a great day. We call it the Kickoff Classic for that reason. And Raccoon Creek is an elite scramble course. Love playing scrambles there. So come check it out.
I was skeptical when you said first day of college football. I was like, I don't know if you're going to get me off the couch. That's the Friday.
Yes, exactly. It's
Yeah,
Friday.
I'm not missing the college football Saturday. Oh, yeah, Mullen.
Oh, I'm
That's
not
incredible.
missing the college football.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
you actually roll. It just rolls into like a perfect weekend.
Oh, yeah, that does fit perfectly.
And we have our Madden teams draft.
No.
Our Madden fantasy draft that Sunday.
That's, oh my good. And that is the week in between preseason and regular season.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, nice.
window.
You got me scared saying the draft is on Sunday.
I plan these things out
Um,
once in a while.
Pulling strings.
yeah. Hate to break it to Henry. He's not gonna be able to make the golf tournament.
Why?
Broncos practice.
Let's go. I still like those.
No, you can make it on a Friday.
I was gonna say if
That's
it's not
for
an
sure.
is it an open practice?
Probably not.
Yeah,
No,
then-
no. Actually, that may be cut day. Unfortunately.
Oh no, Saturday's usually the cut day, isn't it?
Well, now that they go to the 53, they've typically been doing it a day or two earlier. We'll make it work for you,
Damn.
Henry. You'll be able to get out there. But Henry,
Spot on the computer.
there you go. One of the things that you said was trades and making a trade. And Ryan, you mentioned it earlier to trade for a wide receiver. Probably not a big trade coming, especially with the Broncos not having a first or second round pick.
How many times are you
this
gonna do
year.
that this year?
Jeez, I'm trying to blind you, man. But also, probably a trade's not happening with picks because George Paton's not going to trade away one of his 4 valuable picks for next year, and he's probably not going to be looking into the future to trade for this year because he's building for the future. However, if you're going to make a trade, you got a lot of depth at outside linebacker.
Yep.
And you don't see player-for-player trades happen too often.
I love
but
player trades.
Malik Reed, Jonathan Cooper.
Yep.
Obviously, you're not trading Nick Benito. You're probably not trading Baron Browning. So one of those two guys, if you could get the equivalent at a wide receiver, that's maybe actually what you're looking for in a trade. Instead of trading Malik Reed for a 6th-round pick, you're trading him for a guy that's going to come in and be a solid 4th, 3rd receiver.
You got to look out at the teams who are like homies, you know?
Right, San Francisco?
Yeah, first thing I did is pull San Francisco 49ers depth chart. Now, it was a John Elway connection more than a George Paton, but I think
Hey,
he probably
John's
passed.
still getting paid.
I was gonna say, well, I think he also like passed off the numbers.
Right, I think so.
Oh, he's like, hey, if you ever need anything, call my boy John Lynch. He's down to trade coaches for draft picks, all that good stuff.
Hey, by the way, John was at practice today.
Yes. So I look at their depth chart and I don't like anyone.
But the Vikings. The
Okay.
Vikings have 6 receivers.
All right, who we got?
Well, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson.
Okay, those
you know,
guys
you
are
say like,
spoken
hey, you
for.
want Malik Reed for
Yeah,
one of them?
yeah, sure.
And
Malik
then when,
Reed for both of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you say maybe one, and then when they shut that down, so our lads has KJ Osborne as the starting slot receiver. I don't really care about him. Olabisi Johnson, Amir Smith-Marset, Albert Wilson, like guys who, you know, if you're talking about 4th receivers,
Yeah.
why not?
I'm good.
Hey, you're good because there was a CSU Ram on that.
No, I was actually just about to bring up another CSU Ram.
Whoa.
Preston Williams.
Baby.
Williams, yes. Who actually had some nice moments in the NFL and is a big-bodied receiver, is out there. I saw him randomly today, had tweeted, like, I'm just looking for a chance. So that one actually makes sense to me.
Yeah. And that would fit where I'm at. Like, just you don't need a big name.
He's essentially just like a Seth Williams, Tyreek Lee. You just throw him in the competition, essentially.
Absolutely. And what I got to say about those guys is Tyreek Cleveland, Seth Williams, Travis Fulgham. I know you were high on him. Those guys have done nothing for me in camp so far. So I'm totally okay bringing in competition for that.
Changing his name to Travis Emptigum.
Wow. Okay. Because it rolls right off the tongue.
I think his catch counter is empty.
I think so. Unfortunately,
I don't think he's caught a ball.
No.
Seth Williams had a chance today with the ones.
He did. He was given that chance, and I think the biggest takeaway of receivers from today's practice, outside of Tim, obviously, is Montrell Washington. He's a guy that has really stepped up, and I think Nathaniel Hackett said it perfectly after practice, and it's exactly what I was thinking. The Broncos had no idea what type of receiver they were getting from Montrell Washington.
Is that really what he said?
He said it with the different words. He said we had no idea where he was going to fit in with the receiving room. So essentially, that's what he was saying. They knew exactly where he was going to fit in terms of the role of fast guy KJ Hamler, but they didn't know if he was really going to be a receiver at all.
Do you think it's too soon for me to officially apologize, or should I just get it out of the way?
Don't apologize.
Oh, okay.
Don't yet.
I kind of want to.
Because, Ryan, we know rookie wide receivers can take, especially fifth-round guys, that can take a while.
Okay, I'll just say he surprised me because when they drafted him, people talked about, he's the KJ, insurance, and I was like, no way. There's just no way. He is a returner. They're drafting him to be a returner. He is a wide receiver. He's actually a legitimate wide receiver.
And he was incredible today.
Yeah, and such good news for the Broncos because of us not being able to count on KJ. And I love the KJ's back off the PUP, and they're slowly progressing him.
He looks legit, too.
He does. KJ. Now, I want to see him work with the ones, and I think that is when we could start seeing Russell Wilson's deep ball be unleashed. Because today, Tim Patrick's 35-yard catch,
camp,
it honestly was. It was the best true deep ball because we've talked about how he's hit Jerry for 30 yards. It's not a deep ball. That's that's a 30-yard completion. It's a crosser. This one was an actual deep ball, and now you don't have that anymore with Tim. Cortland Sutton has not made those plays.
Too.
Yes, it was. It was just great positioning.
Yeah, jostles for position, kind of traps it.
Yeah, and Russ has been off with Cortland on those. Russ has been off with Jerry on those. I'm crossing my fingers because this was the moon ball is what I was so excited to see, and we just have not seen it yet.
Haven't really seen it attempted all that much. The true moon ball.
The true moon ball. We have seen 40 and 50 yards.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ones where it drops out of the air, we haven't. Maybe he's waiting for KJ. I'm hoping.
The other funny thing, or not funny thing about today is it was the first day I've really seen them spread it all the way out. That was clearly part of the install today, not to give away too much, but you were seeing 5 wide receiver sets and a lot of 4 wide receiver sets. And it's just bring out the Erics.
Or what I noticed at the end of practice, too, Alberto lining up as a receiver
had a good practice
in there. Why not just transition him? I mean, Nathaniel Hackett made it clear earlier this offseason. Right now, Alberto, in our eyes, is a wide receiver, and he needs to become a full tight end.
He's not athletic enough.
No, not to truly be a full tight end, but you're talking if you want a big body receiver out on the outside opposite Cortland, there you go. He's your best option right now.
Yeah.
I would way rather have him than Seth.
And I think that even with Tim Patrick, maybe at least a third of the time, he's not lining up at inline tight end. He's flexed out into the slot. I think at least a third of the time. Now that goes up.
Yep. A couple other notes I have from practice. Corliss Waitman, my boy, CW17 as I'm calling him.
Of course.
The shank.
He was hitting bombs.
Oh, okay.
Did he shank one?
Yeah.
I missed that. I only see bombs from CW17. A lot of people in the Corliss crew, aka the waiters, pretty excited. I literally saw him hit 6 in a row over 60 yards. So yeah, that was one for me. Dark horse of the day, I had Montrell, but honorable mention to Booner. That's what I'm calling him now.
Whoa.
Yeah. If you have a Booner too, then get in on.
You have a number
Boone's
to call,
Farm.
or
Yeah, exactly. 2 great catches from him today.
Mm-hmm.
One, which was a play that really I thought highlighted Russell Wilson's athleticism. Steps up in the pocket and then does like a little jump pass to him in the flat where he was completely uncovered. Would have been a lot of yards. I think it ended up being like 15.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows in a game, if he gets into the open field, how good that would have been. And then
yeah, when the Booner gets going, you never know.
it's true.
He was out there for the first snap.
Yes, that was
He
the
was out
very
there with
first
Melvin.
snap. Which, yeah.
And that was maybe my biggest takeaway outside of all the other stuff was for the very first time in camp, it was not Javonte Williams taking the first snap, getting the first handoff. Melvin Gordon was finally getting that first snap. And I thought we were a week into this. I thought it was very clear the direction this was going. It was clear. It was Javonte Williams. No, not only that, but like you guys said, Mike Boone was out there with Melvin Gordon on the first snap. And then after that, it was Melvin Gordon, just the lone back.
Yep.
And then they did bring Javonte Williams in. But at first I was like, oh no, don't tell me we're dealing with like a sore hamstring from Javonte. Nope, this wide receiver or this running back competition's wide open again.
I almost wonder if something happened. Where,
Like he was late.
Like he was late, or there was like
That was
he
my first
screwed
thought.
up on Kahoot or something like that.
Well, and if that's the case, then again, this running back competition's
Totally.
wide open.
There goes showing up for OTAs.
Yeah,
We're all even
exactly.
there.
Yep.
A couple other things here. Salbert, another big catch today.
Yep.
Every day.
Every day. Daily Salbert.
You
Is
just
he-
think you're tasting this pizza. It's not going to happen, Ryan.
As someone who's invested in Eric Saubert, is he a lock for the team?
No.
No.
They
not
say
a
no.
lock.
I say yes.
He's not a lock. He's not a lock, especially when you look around and who else is getting tons of reps with the ones today? Andrew Beck. And then you also have Eric Tomlinson in there. Obviously, Albert O is going to have a bigger role, I think, with this Tim
Dulcich.
Patrick injury. Dulcich
Exists.
exists, and obviously he's making the team. So it's not because of Sauber what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's just like this numbers game.
Yeah.
Who gets cut?
It was a nice day for Andrew. My neck, my Beck.
Oh boy.
My Booner.
Jesus.
Wow.
See, like, I push it, like, right to the line, and it was perfect, and then you just
You were the
bulldoze
one
line.
to say that
He said
earlier.
Booner.
Yeah, I know, but then that's what I mean. Like, it was used up. It's a washed up Booner.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
Oh boy.
I guess we should finish just like notes on camp with the final period of the day, which was the move the ball period. In a 1 minute and 25 seconds on the clock in the first half. And so that means you don't go for it on fourth down, which I was kind of hoping they would have done the game so you could go for it on fourth down.
Situational football.
Yeah, got to
right?
get all the situations in.
Starting from your own 25.
From your own 25, and the first team offense gets one first down on a nice little out route to Cortland Sutton, and that was all they were able to get. A lot of pressure, man. Those guys, when they pin their ears back, are impressive. At least I hope. It's not just that the offensive line is unimpressive.
And I was standing behind the DBs for that. They were upset. There were the 2 little checkdowns first, and the guy gets touched and then runs like 5 more yards out of bounds, and the clock stops. And then Justin Simmons is there screaming, "Hey, why is the clock stop? Why is the clock stop? That would have been a tackle." Blah 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 blah. I think the second was Javonte. It's like, he might have gotten out of bounds.
Well,
But
the
they
one
were-
to
they were
Cortland, he
heated.
just walked out of bounds.
That one definitely,
Yep.
yeah. The first down was.
So then it comes down to a 3rd and 4 from, would you say, right around the 40?
Their own 40?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3rd and 4 from the 40, out of field goal range, and Evero brings the heat on Russell Wilson. Maybe too much heat. Again,
This
Russell
was
Wilson,
the second time around.
No, this was the first time.
Okay.
Blitz gets home. Russell Wilson falls down. Did not like that.
We hadn't seen much of those. I mean, he kind of, it was like a self-sack too.
Yeah,
like
it
it
was,
wasn't
but
somebody else, we should say.
He just basically was like, there's nowhere to go for it.
I know, exactly.
Right.
And I was
so-
thinking like, don't trip
I
anybody.
just didn't
like,
like
what if we
because
don't
it got
do
up
that?
kind of slow, and I was like, I already have
Stay up.
bad feelings about
Stay
this
up.
practice. Please.
I mean, there was nothing Russ could do. It was McTelvin, Baron Browning were in
everyone.
his face instantly.
Felt
Yep.
like that was one of the first times we saw that rush package, though.
Yes.
At least in like 11 on 11 real stuff, and
It
it was fun.
It was like how on a screen they just let him go. That's what it looked like.
Yep.
Like
Yep,
all
it did.
5 guys were in his face.
It was
Like,
it
did
was so
Baron Browning
quick.
get there first? Did McTelvin
6.
Agim get there first? And you're just like, oh.
An
doesn't
interesting
matter.
note, that was McTelvin and Baron Browning.
Yep.
Guys that are starting to get a little more run with the ones here. Going
Yep.
up against the left side of the offensive line, the apparently best part of the Broncos offensive line.
It was crazy. I honestly didn't even have time to see if anyone was open or anything. Like it
Yeah.
was snap, just turtle.
Yeah.
So good call on the defense. And I tweeted out, I'm like, I hope they're this aggressive in real games.
And
Yeah.
that was the very first thing we learned about this defense was it was supposed to be more aggressive than we've seen in the past, and so far so good.
Then they went out a second time. Zach, was that a full series?
It was.
What was I doing? I somehow missed the first 2 plays.
Well, Ryan, it was super quick. I mean, you had a quick out to Judy for 4, and Judy easily went out of bounds. So then you're at 3rd and 6. Again, you started from your 25, so you're still really far away. You had a little dump off to Javonte in the right
That's
flat.
what I was thinking about, yeah.
Then that got 1 yard. Then it's 3rd and 5, and you have an incompletion.
And it was a nice throw, a really nice throw.
Mm-hmm.
Good protection again. Nice throw from Russ to Cortland Sutton up the sidelines. Hit his hands. Didn't pull it in.
Yep.
There was a little wind out there.
Wasn't that the Seth Williams one?
Was
really.
it Seth? Maybe I just assumed it
Right.
was Cortland because I saw one.
I did actually
I think
did not
far
have it written
sideline.
down.
That was the one I was thinking about. Was Seth Williams, right? Yeah.
I think it was Cortland.
Was it
I do think
Cortland?
it was
Okay.
Cortland. Yep. And yeah, I mean, he laid it out there and just was not able to get the completion. And what was even so you had 2 drives. Broncos pick up 1 first down. Nathaniel Hackett said he was disappointed in the offense after there, didn't even get close to scoring points. And then just the salt in the wound was Brett Rippon leads a drive, which then ends fantastic for the offense. But you're just sitting there thinking, yeah, I know Brett's going up against the backups, but this is Brett Rippon going down the field, and Russell Wilson just went 2 drives with 1 first down. No, again, not all Russell Wilson's fault, but first team offense.
Rippon hit Caden Davis on that 39-yard
Dime.
pass.
He did.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Caden
Down to
Davis
the
first
5.
on the field every day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Paying
and
off.
got down there 13 seconds on the clock when he went out of bounds. It's a good throw.
It was an absolute beauty. And then he threw another great ball to 89.
That's Brendan Johnson.
Brendan Johnson. I thought he actually, upon review, they would have called that a touchdown. They did not call it a touchdown. They called it out of bounds. And so then it's 4th and goal, or actually 3rd and goal.
Okay.
Didn't matter.
Didn't matter.
1 second.
With 1 second on the clock. Let me just ask you this. In a game, according to the scoreboard, it was 0-0, which you definitely take the field goal. Let's just say it's a tie game, though. You want Hackett going for that or kicking the field goal? Last play of the half.
All I can think of is the frickin' Kansas
Chiefs.
City Chiefs last year. You take the points there, and maybe if it's not the end of the half, and not even end of the game, you go for it. Because if you don't get it, well, then they're backed up at the 2-yard line. You're putting yourself in a good position, but it doesn't matter then if you don't get it.
Yeah.
So I think you're kicking the field goal. However, in the practice situation, I like going
If
for
you're
it.
down like 24-7 or something, then you're like, yeah, we got to
it's
just go
tied.
get it. But
It's a
yeah,
difference
when
between a
it's
2-score and a
tied,
3-score game. Like if you're down 24-7, you make it 24-10, you get the ball.
yeah,
There's a lot of situations.
yeah, but
There's
I'd still almost always just take the field goal.
Yeah, I was really hoping I was going to get a tweet about how they chiefed it. But no, Brett Rippon throws an absolute dime
Yeah.
to Montrell Washington. I think the defender maybe could have got a hand on it if he saw it, but the defender was looking at the inside receiver, and as he was like kind of trailing him, it just sails right, ear holes him right into Montrell Washington's hands, who threw a perfect standing backflip.
It was incredible. I mean, he stuck it. He nailed it. And Montrell Washington, the bright spot from today, when we
Easily.
certainly need a bright spot. He also had, earlier in practice, I believe, like a 50-yard touchdown pass. He just burned the defense. And then again at the end of practice, he had another like 50-yard
He did.
catch from Josh Johnson at the end. So he really is looking really good as a receiver.
Yep.
Wheel route out of the slot on the first one, slot fade on the second, just both on the sideline. Those were incredible. And again, it's
He's
been kind of
fat.
he's doing something every day.
He's
like
faster
I think
than whatever his 40 time was.
Yeah.
okay. I remember like even that first day though, like there's 5 yards from the end zone, and he's just running the dig across the end line, catches the ball, and you're just like, oh, that was a nice little play from him. And
can
it's just
play.
been good ever since.
You just wonder, like, with guys like that, is like, what kind of quarterbacks was he playing with in college?
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
now all of a sudden even Brett Rippon is probably an insane upgrade from whoever his quarterback was in college, and it's just like, okay, maybe that completely unlocks a different part of his game.
It's true.
The only part where he didn't have to get thrown to, he was amazing.
Yeah.
He's guaranteed to get the ball in most scenarios.
It's very true. It is very true. Speaking of other things that are very good, our friends over at Green Mountain Dental, very good care of taking care of your teeth. And if you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam, you'll get a free Sonicare toothbrush from them. They're only a 15-minute drive from downtown Denver, and they are big-time Colorado sports fans, so you never know what to talk to the dentist about. It's easy at Green Mountain Dental. You can talk Colorado sports. So check them out, schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam, and get a free Sonicare toothbrush from our friends over at Green Mountain Dental.
And
Gotta keep him on his toes.
awesome. I was looking
Foco, baby.
I was looking. Oh, okay, Foco. I was looking at Liam Welch,
Who's that?
Samford's quarterback.
Oh,
Can't believe you don't know of Liam Welch.
Come on. Yeah, Foco. There's a bunch of cool stuff. There's some bobbleheads. We have their bobblehead, right? It's somewhere over there. Great bobbleheads from Foco. They've got like the Stanley Cup bobbleheads. They've got the Russell Wilson Welcome to Colorado sign bobblehead with like little trees around, and
nice.
it's a good bobblehead if you're into Russell Wilson bobbleheads, which I'd imagine a lot of you are listening to this. Also, I was walking into practice today. They're selling Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater jerseys for $60 each.
No.
First of all,
It's
way
a
too
little,
much.
Exactly, right?
Gotta go under 30. I'm saying $29.99 is the only way you're enticing someone to buy that, because it's just like, man, these materials might be worth that much, and
Like-
then you buy it.
You're wearing it on like Halloween or like April Fool's Day or something. Like this is like a joke jersey.
I almost find it to be like, the word isn't disrespectful, but I'm just going to use it because I can't. Like, it's almost just like disrespectful to the fans that they even put that out there.
If you want
Right.
real merchandise, real Broncos gear, head on over to Foco. They've got good stuff. Just like all sorts of things. Like it always blows my mind when I go to that website because they just have everything, but just with a Broncos logo on it. It's
Like
like
they
oh.
have like they have this nice truck that they've rolled out there with all these cool gear, and then they just threw like an actual clearance rack, like just like a standing clearance rack with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. Is it kind of like a joke?
No.
Like they're making a little
no.
joke about it.
They
No.
laughed when I took the picture because they knew what was happening.
So they knew you were in on the joke.
There
The
we go.
Broncos certainly are not doing that as a joke.
Foco though, 8 different bags with Broncos logos on them.
Wow.
Like 7 different bikini pieces. This is a dozen different.
How many of those do you have?
None yet. A dozen different slippers or Crocs. There's just all sorts of different things. It's all really cool. Broncos Lego sets. If you need something Broncos related, go to Foco.com and use the code DNVR for 10% off. And that's you can also click the link in the YouTube description.
Let me know in the comments if you guys think it's cool that I'm using the back of my pen to use my phone, or
Man,
if that's lame.
so cool. Is that a $200 Apple pen?
No, it is a pen that was given to me by the Arizona Super Bowl host committee.
Wow.
They brought me in. They're like, hey, the Broncos probably going to be down here this year. Like, just want
course.
to introduce you, show you around, give you kind of the lay of the land before you come down for the Broncos.
And by the way, since you came down, you're going to get this this pen.
Yes, and now I bring it every day. I feel like it's manifesting.
Wow.
11 different hats with brims that go all the way around.
How about
Fedoras,
that?
bucket hats, sun hats.
Look at that.
11.
Is it cool to scroll with your pen? It feels cool.
No, it's one of those old things again, Ryan.
Really?
You are old. Yep, exactly. You're old.
Pretty washed because this is enjoyable.
You're archaic. Caleb, do you have any super chats?
Hold up, one
Are
just
they
came
Tim
in.
Patrick? Are they sad?
Who's reaching out to us today?
All right, one of them's coming
Gregory?
in from Angel. I'm not going to read that on the air. You know why, but thank you for the $5.
Well, thank you. Angel.
Tell me
I can't
later,
read
Kale.
what it says.
Next
but,
one
thank
coming
you.
in from Bryson. It was really cool talking to you after practice, RK, and before practice, Ryan Green. Would love to talk with y'all more. Big fan and love the show.
Dude, my guy I assume I'm talking about this guy. He had some drip out there today.
I love
Came
it.
with the diehard Broncos DNVR shirt with the old school Broncos shark tooth hat.
Man, I love it.
Brought the heat.
And then last one coming in from William Sussex. And I'm going to say, it just says Sanders Super Bowl 50 vet.
That is a thing
Let's
about
give
him.
another ring.
He is.
He should have got a ring last year. If it wasn't for a stupid coin toss.
Yeah, that's very true. It's very true. I don't know. Do they beat that front?
Cincinnati?
Wait, what?
I
I thought you were talking about Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does Buffalo beat the Rams? Yeah, the Rams front.
Oh,
is what I
yeah.
was
Okay,
talking
okay,
about.
okay.
That's just the one thing that
Yeah, I think so.
really hurts great quarterbacks.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay, there we go. You don't say it
I
with
think
very
it
much
settles it.
confidence, but I
No,
like it.
I'm very confident. Josh
Rockies-
Allen, 500 passing yards.
Oh, wow, okay.
Rockies did blow that lead.
There you go.
Good
You could have
call.
been watching it on
Should have bet on it.
Little 3-run fourth they gave up.
Big Hankstand chiming in on the website says, sorry for the late response, guys, but I've been busy responding to a plethora of DMs asking me if I've seen the video of Hankster and Sierra, to all of which I've replied, not unless a shirtless Charles Cobb Blackman or an early career Jamie Lee Curtis shows up in one of these segments, and for that, we need a time machine type deal, and I am diverting my attention from the graceful, poignant, hilarious, and often prophetic musings of Sauce Chisholm. Don't ask me things like that ever again. He says, now that that's out of the way, can I ask my real question? RK, what is your hot take on the Ravens game? I wonder if it's the same as mine. That John Fox decision to play for overtime with Peyton Manning as his quarterback is more to blame than Raheem Moore's blunder, and that if Champ hadn't have gotten himself absolutely lambasted on at least two prominent occasions in that game, we would have won. Is that yours too? Love Hank Stan.
You had me in the first half, not going to lie. I completely agree with the idea that John Fox's decision to eat it, speaking of Bills Chiefs, with 30 seconds on the clock and Peyton Manning as your quarterback needing a field goal to win a playoff game is one of the most cowardly decisions I've ever seen in all my life watching football. And I'll never forgive him for it.
I mean,
Even
I
if
don't think
he
many people
sends me
disagree.
an edible arrangement.
Wow. What about a
Wow.
chocolate covered one?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Still no.
Okay.
That one blows my mind. It's absolutely disgusting. Literally, the Chiefs did it with 12 seconds last year. So let's just think about that. 3 times the amount of time.
I love that we learned that his type is Jamie Lee Curtis and Charlie Blackman.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah,
We
it
just
certainly
decided I
is.
wasn't planning
No.
to unpack it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was
I
just
just
going
wanted
to
to
leave it
be-
all packed up.
Had to be acknowledged.
That being said, I'm not going to put anything on an ancient Champ Bailey getting burned twice in the game. Like, obviously, it's part of the reason why they lost. But I'm not saying like he's as much to blame. He was put in a pretty bad position in that game specifically with his matchup. That I'm not going to say he was as at fault as Raheem Moore. It really all just comes down to John Fox to me. John Fox is more at fault than Raheem Moore.
Woo. Players play the game.
That is true.
And they can only do as much as their coaches will allow them to.
I mean, I agree. They should have gone for it with Peyton frickin' Manning. Next one from Dan Burke says, hey, guys, couple of things. Sutton versus Surtain has definitely been the most entertaining matchup we've seen in camp in years. It's good to see Sutton start to punch back after it had been mostly one-sided to start camp. I know people have been underwhelmed with Sutton, but Tim Patrick has been a non-factor through 5 days. This obviously
sad.
probably came in before practice. I don't think he's ever featured once. Just going to scroll over that. He says also, is there a reason why the Broncos stopped doing their daily camp streams? Is it a concerted effort to clamp down on things getting leaked to other teams? Dan Burke.
Little scoop here. A little bit of an insider.
Is this scoop from Zach? I feel like Zach's... No, mind. Go ahead.
Maybe Zach has the same scoop. We're both pretty
Okay.
tied in.
Okay.
NFL is not allowing it. They're only allowing teams to go live 2 days in camp.
I was going to say, they allowed the Broncos to do it day one.
Yep. And they're technically allowed to do it one more time.
Probably the Cowboys' day would be my guess.
And that's what was discussed, yes. At least that's what sources are telling me was discussed.
Which is the last day of camp.
Which is the last day of camp. That is technically camp?
It is.
Yep.
It's the very last day that fans are allowed.
But I thought camp was 2 weeks.
Camp, well, in this timetable, it would be 3 weeks.
That's what's
It's like
confusing.
2.5, yeah.
I think camp technically ends this week, and then it just moves into preseason practice.
No.
No.
So if they were in Greeley, you're saying next week still in Greeley.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. The Broncos' official training camp schedule is next week.
They
as
have like that funny little font that looks like you wrote it in a marker.
Oh,
It's like training camp.
Yeah.
love that
Yeah.
font. It really gives me like working on the whiteboard vibes.
Yeah,
I
with
think it's
a
supposed
pen
to.
that's turned around that has the white racer on it. Yeah.
Great stuff. So yeah, there you go. High level scoops.
That's good.
Only on this show.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Next one from Jordan Andrews says, "My boys, with the addition of Sir Lewis Hamilton and hopefully PFM soon, is
We have
this?"
to call him that.
He
I'm
doesn't
going
call
to.
himself that.
I'm just saying, like, does the Sir thing transfer countries?
The Queen knighted him
Question.
for being a race car driver. If you can do that, I'm calling you sir.
I'm just saying, like, I feel like our standards for knighting pretty low.
I think there was a little. I think there was a little.
Lewis Hamilton is the Tom Brady of F1.
I don't think Tom
Brady's
Brady
not
should
sir.
be knighted either.
There was more though what he did to the sport of bringing
Okay, all right.
inclusion
Oh,
to it.
now
is
we're
why-
talking. Now we're
yes,
talking.
yes, yes.
All right, not
That's why
him
he was
specifically.
knighted.
I'm revoking that take. Rewind. Never said that. New take. Other than Lewis Hamilton, I feel like our standards for knighting people really low.
Who else do you have issue with being a knight?
I feel like Tom Cruise was knighted at one point.
That's deserved. Come on, he does his own stunts. That's incredible.
I feel like that itself is a stunt.
I'm in the middle of like rewatching Mission Impossible, so I'm deep into my Tom
You're kind of a
Cruise
Tom
love right
Cruise
now.
guy.
I am. You know, maybe more on the camera.
Is it because he's around the same size as you?
Exactly. Yep.
I don't
Yep.
think Tom Cruise was knighted.
It would make sense if he was. I totally buy it.
Let me try to think of someone like Wayne Rooney. Probably unfairly knighted at one point.
I think you're a little bit off on who typically gets knighted.
Okay.
Wayne Rooney, knight. Let's just Google it.
All right.
Go ahead if you have.
It's a lot of actors.
See? Tom Cruise and Friends.
Yeah.
GB News called for Tom Cruise to be knighted recently.
Wow.
As he should be.
Too late.
Yeah, as he should be.
Put Ed McCaffrey in the Ring of Fame and knight Ed McCaffrey and knight Tom Cruise.
Would you rather be knighted or put in the Broncos Ring of Fame?
Put in the Broncos Ring of Fame, 100p.
I'd rather be knighted. Come on, everyone's got to call you sir.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
And on top of that, it's a whole
Okay, sir.
country giving this to you, not just one team in a
Broncos
city.
Country, ever heard of it?
The Queen of England. Ever heard of her?
The Queen of Broncos Country, Sierra, ever heard of her?
Okay, she's not tapping on the shoulders with the sword.
I feel like I could request that in my Ring of Fame
There's
ceremony.
no way she said yes.
Damn.
Wayne
That's a good
Rooney,
point.
not a knight.
Okay, can we get a list of people who are knighted and I'll point out all the ones that suck?
And when you look that up, he goes on and says, with Sir Lewis Hamilton, we doing the sir?
No.
No. Okay, with Lewis Hamilton and hopefully PFM soon, is this the best and most powerful ownership group in U.S. sports? I don't know of a team that has as many prominent figures making decisions for their team as this Broncos squad does. Are there too many cooks in the kitchen? I do know one thing. I'd love to be a fly on the wall for their ownership meetings. I absolutely love the culture this team is building. I see nothing but a bright future ahead for us. Go Broncos and let's ride.
Got one. Nick Faldo. Unjustly knighted.
Wow.
Who is that?
He's a golfer.
Okay.
Bob Hope.
Take it back.
Paul McCartney.
He can be knighted.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart.
Don't know who that is.
He's the
No.
Star Trek guy.
No.
Oh, take it
okay.
back.
Okay. Clint Eastwood.
No.
Bill Gates.
No.
Robert Redford.
Oh, Bill Gates, yes.
Robert Redford.
Yes, Robert Redford, great.
I think he might have played for CU baseball at one point.
No
so
way.
That sounds wrong.
The actor Robert
Yes.
Redford?
Google it. If yes, knight
Oh my
stays.
gosh. Is it a thing?
He did go to CU.
Let's go.
But
baby.
hey, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Keep him as a knight.
As Hank's looking for this, the Big T chimes in and says the only sports person that I think there was something in there. Oh, is this the most powerful U.S. sports group? What I will say, he says, are there too many cooks in the kitchen? No, because
No
there's
one's actually in the kitchen.
Yeah, there's one guy, and it is Rob Walton. Now, the day-to-day operations are going to be his daughter and his son-in-law, and those are the people with the real power. These other people aren't splitting the team with the Waltons. No. They have like extremely minimal pieces. That's why for me, the more the merrier. Absolutely, this should lead to Peyton Manning. Keep getting all these huge, successful people in sports and business and philanthropy. Keep adding them because there's no question on who's making the decisions here.
If you want to talk about too many cooks in the kitchen, let's look at how many people are knighted.
Robert Redford did get a baseball scholarship to CU. In his words, I became the campus drunk and blew out before I could ever get going. It lasted a year.
Relatable.
A real Boulder story.
Oh, Rob Redford's great, though.
All right, next one from the Big T. The only person that rivals my obsessive Broncos fandom is Lewis Hamilton.
Oh.
Not only the most talented racing driver I've ever seen and have witnessed every F1 Grand Prix since 1986. Wow. He's one of the few sports stars out there who speaks up for equality and fair treatment as well as environmental issues. I love that I'm learning about Lewis Hamilton today.
Did not see that coming.
He has huge integrity. I thought he was like a villain. Anyways, and whilst was a bit uncomfortable about a massive big billionaire owning our team, this has made me love the Broncos anymore. That's cool. Why Lewis is doing this, I'm not sure, but I know he's a huge fan of America and American culture, and he's into the NFL and the NBA a bit. He also has a house in Colorado somewhere and has had for some time, so I guess it kind of makes sense. Honestly, this is fantastic for the Broncos. Top-notch human. Only those who don't think sports stars should have a voice have a problem with Lewis. But honestly, he's full of integrity and a massive asset to the ownership group. As Jordan Andrews said, we just need PFM now. Peace out and love to all, the Big T.
Love it, the Big T. And the reason why he's doing this is it's a fantastic investment.
Yep.
He obviously likes the other people that are in this ownership group. And it's just great notoriety as well.
Just something I have to bring up. He once tweeted "Go Broncos" right before Super Bowl 48, like worst moment in Broncos history. Also becomes a part owner today. Another bad day.
Oh, geez. So you're saying there's a curse?
The
sir put a curse.
I just want to put it on our radar.
Wow.
Something we should keep an eye on.
He got in trouble for speeding in France. Typical race car driver. 196 kilometers per hour.
Wow, that's like 30 miles per hour.
Is that what it is? I don't think anybody really knows.
Probably a school zone.
What? You have a race, like you're a race car. Don't you get enough of that?
No, as Derek Wolf said
Have you-
last year, you can't assault people in regular life, even though he gets to do it on the football field.
That's true.
Yep.
Haven't you ever like been driving on a highway, like maybe on a road trip, and then you get into the normal city streets, and you're like, oh, I've slowed down significantly, and you're going like 50 and a 20?
So
He forgot he wasn't in an F1
true.
race.
Yes.
So that's 120 miles per hour. So like bad, but not egregious.
Probably a school zone.
No, that's.
I'll count it as egregious.
I think that's egregious, Kale. I think 120 anywhere is
I'm
pretty
not
egregious.
riding in
What's the
Kale's car.
fastest you've ever gone in a car?
Definitely not 120.
I've gotten over 100.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly. Wyoming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was on a back road between Steamboat and Vale, and I think I touched 120.
Wow.
Yeah.
In what car? The Jeep?
No, I had a Ford Explorer at the time, and it legitimately got like full on speed wobble, scared the hell out of me.
Oh God. Well, I'm glad you're here.
My like center console was literally going like this. I was like, I should slow down.
That was smart thinking.
Yeah.
Your frontal lobe was definitely developed in that moment.
So he got
I
his
was, like,
driver's
18.
license revoked for a month. Do you need your driver's license to be a race car driver?
Wow. Great question.
Not
bet-
public
I bet-
roads.
yeah, I bet not.
Public roads. I would bet
Huh.
not.
You can drive on non-public roads if you don't have a driver's license.
Yeah, like I learned to drive on a farm when I was like 6.
Which roads are
Wow.
public?
Wow.
All of them.
Pretty much all of them.
Oh, that would be the issue. What about like the tollway? Is that public? I get.
Yes.
Yes.
We should start doing privately owned roads.
Yeah, I want to start a road.
No.
That's
Ryan,
called
you
a
wanna start a road
racetrack,
with me?
Ryan.
It'll take forever to get from point
I have
A
this
to point
amazing
B.
investment for you.
Let's build a road.
We can just start building roads like straight through things that just give people shorter passages, but it's like $10.
And then you have to exactly
Yeah, you just invented a toll road.
yeah, but a
True.
better one.
It's really
because
true.
we own it.
Like I'm gonna invent a road that goes straight from here to Ball Arena.
And there's so many people whose like businesses or houses are on that road. They have to pay you now.
Yes.
They don't have a choice.
They actually don't. They just lose some property value as my bridge road goes right
Yeah,
over their
I
house.
was gonna say this is
Yeah, I wonder how far do property rights extend upward?
Actually, they extend in perpetuity.
Damn it, perpetuity. It would be so nice if you could just build it like 40 feet in the air. What about below? Also perpetuity?
I don't know.
Yeah, there's like water rights and land rights and all that.
Do you think it ends at the atmosphere?
I mean, they can't have space.
You guys are getting off the rails.
Zach definitely wants to leave. I also have a haircut in 10 minutes, so I guess I should do that too.
Well, shit, my
Orange and
computer
Blue for
died.
Life says, just got my half-price tickets for the 49ers game. Can't wait. Also, just re-up my yearly subscription. So you got me. Love camp coverage so far. We love you, Orange and Blue for Life.
For some reason, I thought we were out of questions. That's why I went on such a tangent.
Yeah, no. I'm just trying to get us through the end. Big Hank Stan coming in here says, Z-Man, can we call you Zach Shuka? Love Hank Stan.
yes, we
Wow.
can.
Big Hank Stan, you can call me whatever you want.
That was a reference to the food you liked.
Exactly, yes. Shock Shuka.
Oh, he was all right with.
Yes, right. Oh, right.
Right. Yeah,
Didn't love.
it was okay.
Arvada Luke says, fellas, with the Sir Hamilton news, I had an interesting thought about Broncos and ownership. It seems like a unique group with genuine interest in football, winning competitiveness, even potentially an eye towards public perception. A lot of people tend not to care about ownership, chalk it up to billionaire problems with no real impact on the team. But what if we're about to experience a new paradigm of ownership where there'll be a cultivated positive vibe with active, visible ownership? Aside from paying for a new stadium, what are some ways that you think the team and their public perception could be changed in ways that only cultivate this positive vibes, parentheses, PVO, image? We've heard a lot of ideas about the new stadium, but I'd like to include one. If at least a portion of that bad boy isn't 5280 above sea level, I'm not going to feel good about it. Feels like it's just inevitable unless they build it into the ground.
Yeah.
To close out, a little spicy take for your tacos on a Taco Tuesday. Montrell Washington gives me Antonio Brown vibes that I can't shake. Yikes.
Yeah.
RAS having a big game against an SEC team. Draft position. Are there things you notice about bubble players during camp that ever give you the thought that the player could be a steal? What are some of the things you've noticed in the past that tipped you off on future greatness? Cheers, Arvada Luke. Yeah, I thought Lorenzo Doss was giving me big Hall of Fame vibes. Didn't work out.
Yeah.
Pick 6 Lorenzo Dosh, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm
he
all in on
seriously
Caden
was.
Davis.
Wow. There was a lot there.
That ownership group, though, like, imagine 6 months ago somebody tells you, like, yeah, the new owners are the Walmart guy, it's Condoleezza Rice, it's James Lucas, it's Lewis Hamilton, it's like whoever.
Did you say Condoleezza Rice?
I sure did. Listen to me, please. But then, and then there's like that list of people. It's just like, no, I don't think that sounds like it's even possible.
Do you think that group of people has ever hung out?
They're about to. The owner's suite's about to be popping.
It is.
And here's the
The
thing.
Queen's probably coming.
Is she gonna join the group?
Is she going to knight Russ?
She's going to wear that Ravens face paint again. All right, are we good?
Okay.
I think we're done.
Monster Mayhem says, with the devastating news of Tim Patrick, would y'all be opposed to OBJ? Definitely a diva, but could be needed help.
I mean, we're talking about December football a lot, right?
Wait, the Queen
it's all
will just
about
come to the
December
game
football.
in London.
Maybe
Easy.
that's where they'll recruit
Yeah.
her. That's the first one. She might be back in Denver the next week.
She'd probably knight everyone in the suite just for fun.
If they gave her tickets, yeah. Yeah, I mean, OBJ, you probably don't have him early in the season, but let those young guys play, whatever. Kale had a little sneeze. But
That
then
was a sneeze?
I don't think that was
so.
a sneeze. I think it was
An air
blowing
can
in.
just
Yeah, I think
exploded.
so.
Yeah, the air can that is Kale's
Or something
face.
coming out of his body.
All the air in his head came out. But yeah, I mean, you got him at the end of the year. Sure, why not? That's a big upgrade.
All right.
And
Let's just wrap it right here.
And
this was fun.
Wait, we have a
always
super
find
chat.
a way.
oh, we have
Oh,
a super chat.
chat.
Not over yet.
does it say bless you?
No, it says, when are we pushing the panic button on the offense?
I like how Angel speaks in his quotation marks, like he's quoting himself. He's like, I just said this out loud. Now I'm quoting it to you guys.
Right.
that.
Not yet. But I'm concerned about the deep ball. And I'm concerned about the deep ball.
I'm willing to. This is the Cowboys' practice for me. I don't think.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Unless
today,
there's
too.
a bunch of like interceptions and things like that. As long as there's no turnovers and you're still like making things work underneath, I'll say Pat Surtain and Justin Simmons are really good.
Also, it's turned into a good bit, but it wasn't intended to be a bit that we just give Russ a 3 on the rideometer every day.
I know. It just
3 for Russ was number 3. Why
I was
don't we
like,
just go with that?
Can I talk myself into it too? It's like you didn't turn it over. There are a couple balls receivers could have pulled in. Like,
Definitely
when
can't
did-
talk yourself into a 4.
When does he not get a
No.
3? No, I'd been closer to a 2 today.
yeah.
That moved the ball, period. Bad.
He's got to throw some touchdowns.
So when does that happen?
tomorrow.
Hopefully
No,
soon.
it's not gonna be tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm expecting a jog through tomorrow.
Oh God.
True.
Make other
That's
plans.
a lot of
You may
touchdowns.
want to, and if fans are going, I'd go to Thursday instead of tomorrow or Saturday instead of Friday.
Wow, you might get a hit on you for saying that.
Wow. So wait, is that lame lit?
Yep, lame lit.
Lame lit.
Yep.
That's what is that a
Lame,
is that-
practice tomorrow. Lit. Oh, yeah, we established this
yeah.
yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a Nathaniel Hackettism.
Oh, that would
He's
be
like,
a good
no.
one.
Look,
Sounds like a
my dad taught me.
lame
Lame lit.
lit. Lame lit. Lame lit. Lame lit.
There you go. That's what the OG Hackett was saying.
Yeah.
We were lame today, but we'll be lit tomorrow.
We actually somehow found a
Wait.
way to have a fun podcast on a not fun day. We've actually become experts in that in the last 6 years.
Very true. Somehow.
so-
Tomorrow's a lame day. That means a lit pod.
There you go. We appreciate you guys, and we will talk to you tomorrow.